Caring for the Children of Abraham by Wayne Baldwin, MD, California, April 2002. A child with no land, a child with no feet. A few days ago in a coffee shop out near the university, a young Palestinian friend came over to say hello. She had recently been home to Palestine. "How are things there?" I asked. "Not so good," she said. "It's happening all over again," I said, "just like 1967. "I don't know, I wasn't born," she said. You had to be there to know. I have to ask my father." "It's just the same," I said. I arrived in Israel in 1967 on Thursday, the week of the war. June 1967, I was an anesthesia resident at Philadelphia Children's Hospital on rotation from my residency at Harvard, Massachusetts General Hospital. War started in Israel on Monday. The chief of anesthesia at the Children's Hospital, Leonard Bachman, was clearing doctors to go to Israel. On Tuesday, I decided to go. It was near the end of my rotation, and Dr. Bachman agreed. Wednesday morning, I did an anesthesia for a pediatric heart surgery. He took the patient to a recovery room and was met outside the hospital by a man in a limousine who got my passport renewed at the consulate, I guess it was called, with me waiting. Took me by my apartment to pick a few things up and then to an airport outside Philadelphia. I was given 3 envelopes. One had money in it. The second one had letters of introduction. The third was open. I was to open after I was on the plane. I was flown in a small plane to Kennedy in New York. We made sort of a falling leaf landing on one corner of the airfield. A waiting limousine took me to the Sabina terminal. I was to go to the ticket counter and say I was a physician going to a medical meeting in Brussels, and someone would meet me, so I did so. A man appeared and told me to go sit down. It seemed that there were about 20 medical volunteers going on that particular flight. I could identify several other doctor types. We didn't talk much. It was a bit of cloak and dagger. The man at the limo back in Philadelphia had said that they were calling from Israel for physician help and that things seemed to be going well with the war for Israel, but that they needed some medical help. The flight to Brussels was uneventful, and I did learn a few things about some of the other physicians who were going. In Brussels, we transferred to the El Al terminal. The El Al terminal was full of people, young people mostly, waiting to fly back to Israel, many going to their military units. There were a lot of bags stacked around them. There was an air of anticipation, excitement. We waited several hours for a flight. When we were finally called, the roof of the building was lined with people cheering as we walked out to the plane. Soon after the plane left, dancing and singing started in the aisles. Wednesday night, as we prepared to land in Tel Aviv, we pulled the window shades down Tel Aviv was blacked out. Jordan and the West Bank were only a few miles away, within artillery range. The man next to me leaned over with tears, love, and fire in his eyes and said Masada will never fall again. We were going to war. They showed enough light to direct us from the plane to the building. Immigration gave us cards to put in our passports so they would not reveal our having been to Israel if we traveled to an Arab country. There were sounds of people talking, planes taking off, landing. There were no sounds of gunfire. The fighting had moved out into the deserts. We were put on buses, the medical volunteers, and bused somewhere outside Tel Aviv to a traveler's hostel, simple and nice, a common area and rooms. I was assigned to a room with 2 beds. My roommate was a young surgery resident from New York. We had a small room with bare white walls, a cement floor, a basin, a mirror, a commode, and an outside door to a narrow balcony. We were on the 2nd floor. The bed was narrow and firm, and I went to sleep immediately. To be continued.